SEC fragility needs to get off my lawn.
Fragile.
The first ever college football playoff involving 12 teams is right around the corner, and fans of the SEC are already arguing they should get all the spots. And it's not just the fans. Two-time national champion Kirby Smart complained that Georgia needs to be treated differently because of its tough schedule. And Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin says some coaches don't even want to play in the SEC championship because they'd risk losing a third game. Now, I understand that strategy. There's an old saying for it. It's called losing the battle but winning the war. But by implementing that tactic, you are acknowledging that your conference is just another battle. It's not the war. What's amazing to me is that a conference which has so little respect for football played elsewhere around the country sets as the grand sum of its ambitions an opportunity to go play those other teams in a postseason invitational. See, I always heard the SEC champion was the national champion due to the league's dominance. So if that's no longer the case and the main objective now is to make the playoff when it's tripled in size, then why play in the SEC at all? Why shouldn't Texas and Oklahoma go back to the Big 12 where the path would be easier? Why shouldn't Georgia join the ACC? Unless, of course, the goal is really just to make sure the entire tournament is comprised of SEC schools, in which case, congratulations, you already have that. It's called your regular season, where only 2 teams make the championship game because every level of football punishes losses. Now, I certainly am not defending all aspects of the college football playoff committee, but we begged them for some objective metrics for entry, and we got them. Win your conference, and you are in. Yet I'm hearing coaches complain who still have a chance to win their league with multiple games left in the regular season. Look, the Southeastern Conference can keep an 8-game schedule rather than 9. It can choose to play the lightest non-conference games possible, but don't do that and then tell me that the league is so superior that the worst teams in it would beat every team elsewhere. Not in a year when the league has sustained losses to Georgia State and Toledo and Oklahoma State. You're not the NFL. See, every NFL team would beat every college team. I don't care how bad the Cowboys are. The Panthers would enter the 12-team tournament and win it with ease. And maybe an SEC team will too. I predicted Georgia and Texas to rematch in the national championship. So I'd love to be right. But nevertheless, you're not the NFL, SEC. And I say this with love. What you are is a dominant conference in college football, the most dominant for much of my adult life, with many great traditions and a ton of pride. So be that and stop dishonoring yourself with pathetic politicking, because that needs to get off my lawn.
Hey. You know, and I'm from SEC country, Dave, but I agree with a lot of what you just said. I do agree. It is a contradiction a little bit, right? To complain that, or say the SEC championship game doesn't matter and we want to go play in the big tournament. Mm-hmm. But when you say that you are the big dogs in the SEC in the regular season, that is true. They're going to come for you just like they came for Blaine, but that is true.
Well, what about gutting the best teams from other conferences? I mean, if you take pride in your conference, which obviously the SEC does, and they've taken pride in adding programs like Texas and Oklahoma, why shouldn't they? College football blue bloods for longstanding. If you add the best programs from other conferences, then you can't get mad that your conference is now logjam with a bunch of talent.
Well, that's what's going to happen in the Super League if there's a breakaway anyway. It's going to be even worse.
And that, if for no other reason, leave the objective criteria for entry into the playoff, if for no other reason than to hasten that move, because I guess they'll get so frustrated they have to do something, right?
Yeah.
It's just, there's really good football being played outside the SEC. And I just don't think a lot of people realize that. Like, the SEC, I think, is the best conference, but there is still really good football getting played outside.
Two things.
I'm worried about you now, David. Hell, you got to go home to Darby Lou. I'm praying for you.
Well, look, and like I said yesterday, Alabama, the only player I saw was Tyler Booker, the captain at Alabama, stand up and say, some coaches don't want to play in the SEC championship game. Not only do we want that at Alabama, we want to go win it. And I think there's a reason why they have been the gold standard. Yep. But yeah, look, guys, Thanksgiving next week is going to be a lot of fun with the in-laws after this past year's Rose Bowl. So don't get things twisted here.
Yeah, no, it definitely will. It's just funny. People are like, Alabama lost to Vanderbilt, who lost to Georgia State. So you're like looking in this like real weird world of the transitive property. That's why it doesn't work. YouTube, subscribe now. Thanks.